Don has.
I'm Scott Schneider.
We begin tonight with breaking news. A church on fire in Fort Heights. This is the True Light Temple of Praise on Drexel. The fire department tells us no one was inside. No word tonight on the cause. We'll continue to follow this and keep you updated.
Also following breaking news out of Aurora tonight, where police shot a man just after 12:30. They were called to the 300 block of South Broadway, and when they got there, they found a man barricaded with a knife. Police fired shots, hitting the man at least once. He's in the hospital tonight. An investigation now underway. Let's keep it in Aurora. A gas leak near the Rush Copley Medical Center. That's on Waterford Drive. Officials tell us a gas main was hit during construction. NICOR now working to get this thing fixed, although that could take hours. People working in nearby buildings had to be evacuated just out of a precaution.
Chicago City Council had a packed day today. They took action on hemp-based weed products.
Yeah, let's get right to Paris Schutz. So Paris, walk us through it.
Yeah, Scott and Don, this is one of those days where there's furious lobbying and arm twisting and vote counting going on behind the scenes. Starting with those controversial Delta 8 and 9 weed products. They're going to be illegal in the city of Chicago come April, thanks to action the council took today. But there are some notable exceptions.
City Council approves the hemp ban compromise by a vote of 32 to 16.
32 yeas, 16 nays. This measure passes.
The new law gives retailers until April to comply with the ban on hemp-derived weed products like Delta 8 and 9. Alders had initially proposed a total citywide ban, but after some lobbying from the hemp beverage industry, they settled on a compromise that would allow the continued sale of those beverages and topicals.
I'm deeply grateful to Alderman Quinn and the City Council for creating a pathway for responsible hemp beverage businesses like Plift and Perfectly Dosed to operate in Chicago while putting an end to the unsafe hemp products found across the city. This ordinance is a step forward for Chicago.
The ordinance also bans all sales of hemp-derived weed to those under 21. Alders in support say the compromise is all about safety for children, amid horror stories of consumers getting sick off of a totally unregulated product.
The stories I've heard about this product getting in the wrong hands is something that we can't ignore. And we did something today that hasn't been able to get done in the state. So I'm really proud of what took place.
Alders in opposition say the ordinance hurts small businesses that have struggled to find new sources of revenue. And it could prevent those who rely on hemp-derived CBD for medicinal use.
It hurts me to see us cutting off an avenue for healing, for health, but also for kind of small businesses that are really the backbone of our local economy.
Meanwhile, a spokesperson for the Illinois Healthy Alternatives Association says, quote, the legislation passed today was written hastily and without any input from the hemp industry who is actually affected by the legislation. It does little to protect children, but does allow bigger profits for big beverages, big cannabis, and the restaurant industry.
And the mayor this evening said he has concerns about this ordinance, but he would not say whether he would sign or veto it. Remember, Congress has passed a nationwide ban on hemp-derived weed products, but that won't go into effect for another year. Also on City Council's agenda today, that controversial time and place curfew. They debated it. Ultimately, they punted on voting for that because alders had some questions about some recent additions to that ordinance, and that ordinance would give the superintendent the power to declare curfew anytime, anywhere with 12 hours notice. So that one is going to go back to the drawing board a little bit, but that hemp ban in effect unless the mayor vetoes it. Scott?
Paris, thank you for that. Council, meanwhile, just signed off on a $22 million settlement. Now, this is going to the family of a man who died in a car crash in 2023. It happened as CPD was pursuing somebody through a West Side neighborhood. Now, they were speeding, no sirens on. The person they were chasing slammed into another vehicle. Behind the wheel was Angel Eduardo Montesinos. He was 25. His family says that the police broke their own pursuit rules and sued the city in 2023.
What happened at the end of that pursuit, how it ended, is the same narrative that we see time and time again when officers disregard their training. It was a tragedy. Angel had no idea what was coming down the street at him. He had no idea that a Chicago police officer was chasing at double the speed limit, and that fleeing offender, driven by a juvenile, was about to strike his car.
Most of the settlement money will be coming from the city. The state of Illinois paying $10 million to settle a lawsuit following the death of a teenager at a state-run mental health facility.
Investigators say required safety checks were not followed. Tia Ewing is here with details on that case.
Well, Dawn and Scott, we have to look to the past to see how we got to this point. On February 7th of 2023, 19-year-old Anthony Stringfellow Jr. died inside Madden Mental Health Center. Investigators say he used a restricted item, a shoelace tied to a door hinge, spots where cords, ropes, or similar items can be tied. Anthony went to Madden after a 911 call about his well-being and a visit to the University of Chicago emergency room. Records show he was considered to be a suicide risk and was supposed to be checked every 15 minutes. A state police investigation found those checks never happened. Investigators later uncovered internal emails showing the Illinois Department of Human Services had plans dating back to 2019 to reduce ligature risk, but the work was delayed.
They didn't give a care in the world. And it can't happen to another person. My son was able to commit suicide, but he's not the only person that's suffered some type of tragedy at Madden. Things have to change at Madden if they're truly going to help the people in this state that come there in their worst moments.
IDHS says renovations have been completed, but 2 other areas that house patients remain closed as work continues. If you or someone you know is feeling suicidal, call or text 988. It's free and confidential. Dawn.
Thank you, Tia. A heads up for train commuters. Both Metra and the South Shore line are reducing service because of the extreme cold. On Friday, Metra's schedule will look similar to what it is offered on Saturdays and Sundays. Also on Friday, the South Shore line will be operating on a weekend holiday schedule. You can find the full schedules online.
Well, a lot of us dodged the snow overnight, but I don't think any of us are going to dodge the deep freeze that is on the way and apparently impacting our camera there.
Yeah, I know. I don't know if that was a little bit of steam, a little bit of fog, a little bit of what we're seeing. Yeah. Yes, so it's about to get very cold here over the next couple of days. First and foremost, we have to get through this evening. We have an Arctic front that's going to come through, and that's going to be bringing in some snow. We're already starting to see some snow crossing I-39, and that's going to continue to spread from west to east across the region this evening. Now, as far as how much snow we're expecting, it's not a ton. We're looking at just a dusting to up to around 1 inch for many locations, but it's going to come through with a lot of wind, which means very quickly changing road conditions, reduced visibilities. We actually have a wind advisory that was just issued for LaSalle, Grundy, Kankakee, Newton, and Jasper counties for westerly winds gusting as high as about 50 to 55 miles per hour from 6 p.m. to midnight. Futurecast snowfall, again, not a ton, just a dusting to 1 inch. The biggest weather story of them all is going to be our extreme cold watch that has been issued for Thursday night into Friday. Wind chills as low as -35. More details on that coming up.
Thank you, Emily. A reward is being offered for a 16-year-old girl missing, but her mother says, more importantly, she just wants her home. Layla Underwood was last seen wearing a black jacket and black Crocs in the 4800 block of West Cortez Street in Chicago. She's 5 feet tall with black hair and brown eyes. And the family says the flyer showing the photo here is from the last time she was with them. They say she is not a runaway story to be pushed aside.
I need the public to understand something very clearly. If you know something, anything, now is the time to speak up. You may think what you saw was small. You might think you're not sure, and you might be afraid to get involved. But I'm standing here begging you to understand any piece of information that saves my daughter's life is crucial.
Everybody that knows me, from the streets out here in Chicago, the back alleys all over the universe here in Chicago, if you know anything about Layla, do the right thing for me.
If you have any information, you are asked to call Chicago police.
New data released just today shows the number of homeless people here in Chicago may be higher than expected.
Brett Begansky is live in Uptown with the latest data as the weather continues to be dangerously cold. Brett.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a couple of things to keep in mind when it comes to the official HUD numbers for the homeless population. They only consider these two things. They look at really just one day. It's a snapshot in time where their volunteers are canvassing the city of Chicago, and they're only looking at people they could actually see sleeping in public and those who are sleeping in a homeless shelter. So earlier today, I spoke with the Chicago Coalition to End Homelessness, who is just getting ready to wrap up their own panel about their new findings when it comes to what they think is a more accurate representation when it comes to the homeless population here in Chicago. So just to keep this in mind, HUD's count for 2024 for the city of Chicago was 18,836. The CCH's count was 58,625, which is more than 3 times higher than HUD. So why is that? Well, CCH says its data is year-round rather than one day, and it also factors in what's called doubling up, where those who are homeless will sleep for any given time with family members, or perhaps they're going to stay in overcrowded places that can really be dangerous, and they don't stay there consistently. So CCH feels it's 58,000 and change is a more accurate representation of the current homeless population here in Chicago. So I spoke with M. Henson, the author of the research, who told me this is a statistic everyone in our area should care about.
You know, rent costs in Chicago, we track this as part of our estimate every year, and they consistently have been rising significantly, and that will continue. And we all know what's going on with inflation. So as cuts are happening for people that are currently experiencing these atrocities, we are deeply concerned about how more and more people who have not needed these subsidies and support so far will be pushed to that brink.
And this is coming as the Trump administration is threatening to cut tens of millions of dollars in HUD funding to Chicago. And that money helps families get affordable housing and social services. And this is an issue right now that's playing out in the courts. And some political experts call this political retaliation, as the president says he wants to cut funding from sanctuary cities. And that funding is supposed to run out on February 1st. And it just so happens tomorrow is when HUD is expected to come here to Chicago to do its homeless count. And it's happening at a time where this has just become a very brutal time of winter, where anyone who is living outside, it could potentially be a life and death situation. We're live in Uptown tonight. Brett Bagansky, Fox Chicago.
Well, the Bears spent all season defying the odds. Safe to say they're not going to be sneaking up on anybody next year.
Head coach Ben Johnson and GM Ryan Poles spoke with the media today. Tina Nguyen is here with more.
Yeah, guys, 1 year ago to this day, the Bears hired Ben Johnson as their head coach, and so far it's paid off. Their first winning season since 2018, NFC North champions, beating the Packers not once but twice. They made a run to the divisional round of the playoffs. So how do you build off of that for 2026? According to head coach Ben Johnson, you actually don't.
There is no building off of this. We go back to square one. Okay. We're back at the bottom again, and that's really all 32 teams. If you feel otherwise, you're probably missing the big picture. You know, we're back at. We got to start from scratch. We got to start from the fundamentals.
We didn't reach what we wanted, the goals that we wanted to hit, and that's to be a championship caliber team. That'll never change. But as we've moved a couple of days past that, I am proud of the progress that we've made. And knowing that, you know, we can't be complacent. We got to keep pushing forward.
Well, this could be a challenging offseason for GM Ryan Poles and the Bears. A lot of notable free agents here, including Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, Nashawn Wright, and CJ GJ in the secondary, and Theo Benedict and Braxton Jones on the offensive line. And they will not have a top 10 pick this year to offset any potential losses. And coming up later in sports, we'll have a full report from Hallis Hall with Cassie Carlson and much more from Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles as well. Don and Scott.
Thank you, Tina. Still ahead on the news at 5 after years of construction. The Wildlife Center in DuPage County has reopened. We'll take you inside.
Turning pain into purpose. The family of a CPS teacher who died by suicide now launching a new initiative.
If you've been injured in a car accident,
New tonight, Linda Brown's family is turning their pain into purpose.
Yeah, she was a CPS special ed teacher who vanished here in Chicago. Her body recovered a week later.
Now her family is launching a new initiative in her name aimed at helping other families navigating missing persons cases. Leslie Moreno joins us live with more. Leslie.
Hey guys, good evening. Yeah, from the very beginning, Linda Brown's family was determined to find answers. Now they want to help other families here in Chicago who may find themselves dealing with a similar devastating situation. Tonight, the family is announcing a new initiative, the Linda Brown Advocacy Protocol. It'll give families of missing loved ones tools they say they wish they had. Linda Brown was a CPS teacher whose disappearance in Chicago drew widespread attention after she was reported missing. Her body was recovered a week later. Her family says this case exposed how overwhelming and confusing the missing persons process can be, and that experience is now driving this new initiative. It'll focus on understanding how searches work, how to responsibly work with media, and tips to avoid slowing down an investigation. Jen Rivera, Linda's niece and founder of this initiative, works with families of the missing, but to experience this firsthand, she says it'll provide a unique perspective.
No one thinks that it's going to happen to you until it does. And I was one of those people. I mean, I'm in this space. I work in this space every day, and I never imagined my own family being in this situation until we were. And so it's really just being prepared. And again, if you find yourself in this situation, God forbid, then you have a resource. You know, there's nothing out there like this. There's a lot of amazing organizations that provide assistance with flyers and awareness and things like that. But there isn't anything out there like the Linda Brown Advocacy Protocol, where it kind of walks you through step by step in each aspect of the process, from preparedness to, going through the process.
Linda Brown was laid to rest earlier this week. The family is hoping this new initiative will be a trusted resource for families here in Chicago. We'll have more details on that coming up tonight at 9. For now, reporting live here in the Loop, Les Moreno, Fox, Chicago.
An update tonight, the trial of a man accused in a murder-for-hire plot targeting Border Patrol Commander Gregory Bovino is underway. Opening statements began in Chicago this morning. It's the first trial connected to Operation Midway Blitz. Prosecutors say Juan Espinoza Martinez sent out a bounty for Bovino. Martinez says he's not guilty. If convicted, he could face up to 10 years in prison. An investigation is underway after a shooting involving federal agents in California. Officials say it happened in L.A. County, where DHS agents were trying to stop a car that ended up crashing. At some point, shots were fired, but no one was hit by gunfire. Officials say the suspect was detained. Details surrounding the operation have not been released.
In Minneapolis, protests continue following the death of Renee Good and amid the Trump administration's ongoing immigration crackdown there. Vice President J.D. Vance set to visit the city tomorrow. Good shot and killed by an ICE agent 3 weeks ago. While many Democratic leaders are calling the incident murder, the administration maintains the shooting was an act of self-defense. Vance is set to hold a round table with local leaders and community members. Lurie Children's Hospital pausing more gender-affirming care services. The hospital has halted filling subscriptions related to any gender-affirming care for new minor patients. The Trump administration had referred the hospital to the Department of Health and Human Services for an investigation earlier this month. Lurie's says that is what led to the decision. The hospital says all of this, quote, threatens our ability to care for all of our patients. Lurie Children's says they, quote, empathize with those who are struggling with the decision and who have shown unwavering dedication to supporting gender-diverse patients.
I'm Terrence Lee back with an update on President Trump backing off the tariffs he was going to hit European allies with. He'd been saying he would do it if NATO did not help him get Greenland. What he did instead was agree with NATO's leader on what he called a framework of a future deal for Arctic security. He said that hours after he spoke at the World Economic Forum in Switzerland, where he called wanting Greenland a very small ask compared to what our country has given NATO for many, many decades.
We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force, where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that.
President Trump has been saying the U.S. needs control of the world's largest island to protect national security from Russia and China. Dawn.
All right, Terrence, thank you. Let's check in on our forecast. What a beautiful shot. But man, Emily, the forecast literally blew me away in more ways than one.
Yes. So we have a lot to cover here in the weather department. Not only are we tracking snow showers for this evening, but we did just recently have a wind advisory that was issued for the far southern tier of our counties. That's LaSalle, Grundy, Kankakee, Newton, and Jasper counties from 6 p.m. to midnight for westerly winds as high as about 50 to 55 miles per hour. So that's going to be coming along with some gusty snow showers. We're starting to see some snow showers trying to move into the area now. But what you can't see from our local radar, there's actually more snow off to our west. And that's the stuff that I think is going to be a little bit heavier later on this evening. Here's a look at that wind advisory. Again, it's for our southern tier of counties lasting through midnight for those gusty westerly winds. The rest of us, I think we're still going to be seeing wind gusts as high as about 40, maybe coming close to 45 miles per hour. But I think the strongest winds will be where we have that wind advisory, of course. Futurecast taking us throughout the next couple of hours. We have those scattered gusty snow showers and quickly changing road conditions. So if you have plans to be out and about this evening, make sure you're aware of that. Reduced visibilities are going to be a concern as well. Temperatures tonight down to 14, but then in the days ahead, it gets brutally cold. 35-degree below zero wind chills are expected by Friday morning. We'll be right back.
Massive storm threatening part of the country with dangerous ice and snow.
The multi-day system is expected to move in Friday, dropping heavy snow, sleet, freezing rain from Texas to the East Coast. The governor of Texas activated state emergency resources, and the National Guard is on standby to help stranded drivers.
In Virginia Beach, a daring rescue caught on camera. Good Samaritans, actually. They worked together to save this driver trapped inside that sinking SUV. One of them busted through the rear windshield, pulled the driver out before that vehicle went under. Nobody got hurt. Police now investigating how in the world that SUV went into the water.
A man in D.C. decided to steal from a marijuana dispensary over the weekend, but it didn't take long for police to find him. That's because he opted to check in when he got to the store. He gave the clerk his ID and even registered for a medical marijuana card. It's only after going through all the security measures that he decided to go for the theft. He ran off with 2 jars of cannabis worth about $1,500, all while wearing that bright yellow jacket.
Let's go to Georgia. Senior night at this basketball game. Got off to an interesting start because of that little critter right there. That bat flying around in the rafters before the game started. So the school district says nobody got hurt. The bat eventually was nudged from the ceiling via a basketball and then flew out of the gym unharmed.
Still ahead on the news at 5, nearly 24 Chicago restaurants and chefs are on the short list for this year's James Beard Awards.
And a gun that dates back to the days of Al Capone, found in the walls of a Thornton distillery. Hi, Dave. Hi.
Now at the bottom of the hour, in a little less than 2 weeks, changes are coming to SNAP benefits. What you need to know before they kick in.
What an amazing find at the oldest standing brewery in all of Illinois.
First, this one is for people in the western suburbs. DuPage County's popular Wildlife Center has reopened to the public.
Yeah, it's been under construction for years.
Stacey Cronus is in Glen Ellen with a first look inside.
Wild animals native to our region have been treated here for decades. That same work is still being done, just now in a brand new multi-million-dollar space. Many of you know it as the Willowbrook Wildlife Center. While it carries the same mission, the new medical facility and visitor space reopened last Monday as the DuPage Wildlife Conservation Center. It is the largest wildlife rehabilitation center in the state, with on-staff veterinarians treating more than 11,000 wild animals each year. The newly constructed 27,000 square foot building blends that same expertise, now with an emphasis on the visitor experience. Large windows in the lobby give community members a behind-the-scenes look at care, where they can watch doctors treat a variety of wildlife, from hummingbirds to coyotes.
We wanted to highlight the unique operations of a wildlife hospital. So that's why we have windows in our visitor center that go into some of the behind the scenes areas where people can see the animals that are here as patients as they move throughout the rehabilitation process. You'll actually get to see an animal that has come in, get an examination, get treatments, even get a surgery. So we can watch that happen in real time.
What's satisfying for me is to taking those animals that did have some sort of human-caused injury and fixing that. A lot of people ask why rehabilitate, and I think it's for that reason, to be able to take those animals that we had a reason for them coming in and giving back to that animal.
This facility is open to the public 7 days a week. The building is also a net zero facility, meaning it produces just as much, if not more, energy than it uses. Reporting in Glen Ellen, Casey Cronus, Fox Chicago.
SNAP benefits are changing in 11 days. Remember the president's big, beautiful bill? That's why this is happening. February 1st, new federal rules kick in. 80 hours a month, work or volunteer. You don't hit those hours, you could lose your SNAP by May. You're exempt if you have a kid under 14. If you're over 50, have a disability, if you're a student, pregnant, or you're caring for someone who is disabled. The Greater Chicago Food Depository says 450,000 people could lose benefits. That's a lot of families. And then come April, some immigrants with protections will lose SNAP as well. Cook County Health, the state, and food banks say they're putting help in place. They met at Providence Hospital today. They're offering food assistance and connecting people to resources. They've launched something called Food is Medicine. It's for Cook County Health patients with diabetes, high blood pressure, stuff like that. Your doctor or nurse has to refer you. They work with the Greater Chicago Food Depository. You can get healthy food from their pantries. If you can't get there, they will deliver the meals, and those meals match what your body needs. Officials say they know a lot of people are worried about what comes next.
We know this is stressful. No one should lose access to food because the rules are confusing or because they didn't know where to turn.
No one in Cook County should have to choose between paying rent, buying medicine, or putting food on the table. That's not who we are, and it's not a future we're willing to accept.
Illinois is mailing notices right now about the work requirements, exemption forms as well. If you're on SNAP, check your mail. The state also says they're helping people find work and volunteer spots. All the phone numbers, all the details you need. We put everything on our website. Scott.
All right, Terrence, thanks for that. Home to Dead Drop Whiskey, the Thornton Distilling Company stands on the site of the oldest brewery in all of Illinois. Opening in Thornton way back in the 1850s, it is rich in history, and now a recent discovery near their artesian well has them looking back in time. It's a chrome-plated Colt 1908 pistol in its holster, linked to the days of notorious Chicagoland gangster Al Capone. And this pistol was loaded. So the first thing they did was turn the gun over to the cops, who cleared the firearm. Now comes the task of restoring the pistol to its original glory. Distillery founder Andrew Howell has been down to that well many times and is still surprised by the discovery.
I can't believe it's in such good condition. The way it was like sealed in the wall was like just like, you know, there's moisture down there, but like when we removed the little bit of mortar, it, you know, it's like really dry in there. There's a giant void in there. So we're going to investigate that a little bit further.
So once the Colt is fully restored, the plan is to add it to the many collectibles found at Thornton to be enjoyed during guided tours of the distillery.
A guy in the suburbs turning a nightly routine into $1 million payday. He's anonymous, only known as Music Man, and he just won the Lucky Day Lotto jackpot. Yes, he plans to use the $1 million to surprise his kids with a new house because it was their birthdays that landed him the jackpot.
Or he could take them on a tropical vacation and get them out of Dodge because it's going to be chilly around here.
That's how I'd be spending my money as well. It's about to get so cold later on this week. Dangerously cold conditions are going to be settling in Thursday night into Friday. We actually have an extreme cold watch that has been issued Thursday night through midday Friday for all of northeastern Illinois. But even for those of you in northwest Indiana, you do not have that watch in effect yet. But I wouldn't be surprised to see something issued here in the next day or so as we get closer to this event, because because the entire area is likely going to be dealing with wind chills, potentially as cold as 30 to 35 degrees below zero. Now tonight, it's all about the snow. We have snow showers that are beginning to move in, some heavier snow showers beginning to develop farther to the west, now beginning to move into northwestern Illinois. That's a sign of things to come. So that's our Arctic front that's coming through. It's also going to have a lot of wind. We now have a wind advisory for the southern tier of counties from LaSalle County over into Newton and Jasper counties. That's going to last from 6 p.m. to midnight for westerly winds as high as 50 to 55 miles per hour. 3-day forecast. Tomorrow, high of 25. Not so bad. We can handle that. But then we're dropping down to sub-zero daytime temperatures on Friday. And those wind chill temperatures, again, could be as cold as 35 degrees below zero for the first half of the day on Friday. Back to you.
Still ahead of the news at 5, major recognition for Chicago's food scene.
We'll tell you which spots and which chefs are in the running for this year's James Beard Awards.
Fox 32 News is brought to you.
Nearly 24 Chicago restaurants have been named as semifinalists for this year's coveted James Beard Awards.
They are the Oscars of the food world, recognizing the best in America's culinary scene. Sylvia Perez joining us now with more.
Yeah, Dawn, I know you've been to a few of these, Scott. You got to get out more, okay?
Come on, Scott.
Chicago has 23 semifinalists. That's one more than last year. And Chicago represents nearly half of the 20 semifinalists for Best Chef Great Lakes. Now, that area includes Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, and Ohio. So the city is representing in a big way. There are too many to name right here, but here's a preview for you. In the Outstanding Restaurateur category, Chef Joe Flam with Boulevard, Rosemary, and Il Carciofo. Next, Best Chef Great Lakes. And here's where the list gets long, but just to name a few, you see some familiar names from restaurants like Crying Tiger, Maxwell's Trading, Mira, and Loaf Lounge. Under the Best New Restaurant category, Indian restaurant Nadu and Italian-Brazilian restaurant Nick and juniors in River North. Outstanding restaurant Ukrainian Villages Kasama, which recently received a second Michelin star. And El Idea is also a Michelin restaurant, this one located in North Lawndale. These are just semi-finalists. The finalists will be announced on March 31st. We spoke with Sam Toya, president of the Illinois Restaurant Association, on the News at 4 about how even just being nominated can be a game changer.
Winning a James Beard Award or even being nominated, it's like being nominated for an Oscar, or winning an Oscar. That's why it is so important to the food industry, to our chefs, to our restaurateurs, to our bartenders, everybody. Everybody wants to be nominated for a James Beard Award because it just highlights how well ran, how good your food is, how good your restaurant is. So it is a privilege to be nominated.
It certainly is. The James Beard Award ceremony takes place at the Lyric Opera House on June 15th. Chicago hosts the ceremony until 2027, and it is the first city to ever host outside of New York. A lot of other cities are vying to steal it from us because it brings prestige, tourism, and a lot of excitement to the city that is lucky enough to host this. For a complete list of the nominees, you can go to fox32chicago.com. Dawn?
Thank you, Sylvia. Well, it's going to be frigid later this week. In fact, we have an extreme cold watch coming our way.
Yeah, Emily's going to let us know just how low temps are falling. Her full forecast is after the break.
I'm Cassie Carlson. 3 days after the Bears' divisional loss to the Rams, Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles already thinking about how they can get back to the playoffs next season. We have more on their reflection of the season later in sports.
The social media.
It's going to be really tough to stay warm the next few days, it seems.
Yeah,
so
really
it gets
is.
really cold at night, I saw, yeah?
Very cold. So actual air temperatures Thursday night, Friday night, we're looking at 5 to 10 degrees below zero in the city, which means our usual cold spots, outlying areas, very easily could be dropping below 10 degrees below zero. So we have so many different things that we need to cover in the forecast here. First and foremost, let's talk about tonight, because we have our Arctic cold front that's beginning to approach the area now. So there's going to be some very light snow showers associated with this at first, and then some heavier snow showers are going to build in as the cold front begins to pass from west to east across the region. So we're going to have very gusty snow showers being a possibility. As far as how much snow we're expecting, really not a ton. It's just going to be a dusting to up to an inch. But I think the bigger issue is going to be the high winds combined with reduced visibilities. So if you have plans to be out and about on the roads this evening, be aware of very quickly changing road conditions. Zooming things in, we have some light snow that's beginning to show up on the radar. Slightly heavier stuff coming out of Rockford. This is going to be heading toward McHenry County. But these snow showers that are now beginning to cross over into northwestern Illinois, those are the ones that I think are going to be coming along with the really gusty winds. So speaking of the winds, we actually just recently had a wind advisory that's been issued by the Weather Service into LaSalle County, Grundy County, Kankakee, Newton, and Jasper from 6 p.m. to midnight for westerly winds gusting as high as 50 to 55 miles per hour. North of that advisory area, I think our winds are likely going to be gusting as high as about 40 to 45 with some of those showers that roll through. Now that's tonight's story. Jumping ahead now to Thursday night, the cold has really been grabbing all of the headlines because we have dangerously cold conditions to tell you about. We have an extreme cold watch that's been issued for all of northeastern Illinois for wind chills as low as 35 degrees below zero. Now, for those of you in northwest Indiana, no, you're not included in this watch just yet, but I really wouldn't be surprised if we start to see some of those cold weather headlines being issued for you as well, because whether you're in northwest Indiana, northeastern Illinois, it is going to be very cold. We're counting on those wind chills ranging from about 30 to 35 below, and some extreme cases maybe even close to 40 below across the far west and northwest suburbs. And that's for Thursday night into Friday. Your temperatures right now, not so bad. We're sitting in the upper 20s to low 30s. Futurecast showing that frontal boundary coming through, and it's going to move through very quickly. When we're on the back side of that, tomorrow daytime temperatures really not so bad. We're going to be in the mid 20s. But then Thursday night into Friday, that's when that colder air really begins to settle in. We'll have mostly clear skies, allowing those temperatures to drop quickly. Again, overnight low temperatures Thursday night into Friday, 5 to 10 degrees below zero. Wind chills as cold as about 35 below. And your daytime temperatures on Friday, I don't even think we're going to climb above zero. -1 I have as my daytime high. And then over the weekend, we are tracking snow chances that could be here Saturday night into Sunday.
You win a bunch of games, you get into these games, playoff games, and you're winning, and you play these good teams, and you see what championship level is. You see what you have to do. You figure it out. When you get knocked down, you get back up.
We did fall short, but we accomplished a lot. We did a lot of things that people didn't think we were going to do this year. We have ignited a belief.
I think the city of Chicago is definitely yearning for a team like this, a season like this, and I think that's something that they can come to expect.
I've seen what winning looks like, and I feel like we can win here in Chicago.
This league is different. It's a beast, and you don't get so many chances at it.
We'll figure it out. We'll come back together and find a way to go get back in the playoffs.
Time now for sports. After a season defined by resilience, belief, and comeback magic, the Bears face some real questions as they try to make another playoff run in 2026. With some notable free agents like Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, along with not having a top 10 pick in the NFL draft, Ryan Poles and Ben Johnson have some tough decisions to make. Cassie Carlson has the latest from Hallis Hall.
3 days after the Bears season ending, Ben Johnson reiterated his post-game message that it's really tough to get to where the Bears were this season, and it's going to be even harder to get back there next year.
There is no building off of this. We go back to square one. Okay. We're back at the bottom again, and that's really all 32 teams. If you feel otherwise, you're probably missing the big picture.
We can't be complacent. We got to keep pushing forward. We both come from organizations that have stacked success back-to-back years, and we know the challenge that comes with having success and then trying to get back to that the following year.
One thing they found is their quarterback. Caleb Williams left the Bears and their fan base with plenty of memories. And inside Hallis Hall, Ben Johnson felt like he grew up as a player and professional.
I'm really encouraged about the steps he took this year. I'm Caleb Williams' #1 believer.
Just his pocket presence, his ability to escape. I think that's a rare trait that he has. You saw that come alive.
Ryan Poles reiterated the goals of the franchise to be a championship caliber team. And while they fell short of it this year, both he and Ben Johnson recognized how they reignited a fan base desperate for a winning Bears team.
I had family members flying in O'Hare texting me saying, I've never seen anything like this in terms of the amount of pride that our fans had wearing their Bears gear, pumped up about the upcoming game. We felt that, and that's part of a job that we don't talk about a lot. It's just inspiring our fan base, inspiring the community.
I'm really excited about seeing this city, this fan base come to life. These last 2 games, I'll never forget.
In terms of injuries, Ryan Poles said Jalen Johnson suffered a minor wrist injury in the final game that won't need surgery. Ozzy Chiprolo and Noah Sewell both underwent surgery for their season-ending injuries and don't have a timeline to return. At Hallis Hall, Cassie Carlson, Fox Chicago Sports.
Thanks, Cassie. Well, after 6 seasons, the White Sox have parted ways with Luis Robert Jr., trading him to the Mets late last night for 2 players, including utility man Luis Angel Acuna. Robert's name had been in trade rumors the last few years. The White Sox moving him to get someone they hope can contribute to their latest rebuild.
It really is about being able to bring in Acuna, getting access to him, one of the younger exciting players in our game. So to get a chance at bringing in a player like that, and gain some more flexibility with moving Louis, seemed like something that we needed to strike on, and we went ahead and did that. Obviously, the talent is real. Unfortunately, he hasn't had the consistency that he had hoped or we had hoped, and we felt like it was time to make this move, turn the page, and continue this build forward.
Well, Luis Robert Jr. is only a couple of years removed from an all-star season where he finished 9th in the major leagues in home runs. He hasn't been able to match that production since injuries have been a huge issue, as he's missed a combined 114 games over the last 2 seasons. And plenty more on both of these stories here on Chicago Sports Tonight. Daily reaction to Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles' end-of-season press conferences with Cassie Carlson and Dan Wiederer of The Athletic and MLB.com, Scott Merkin, on what's next for the White Sox after trading Luis Robert Jr. coming up at 6 o'clock on our Fox local app, or you can catch it right here at 9:30 on Fox Chicago. One night after attending the Blackhawks game at the United Center together, how about Caleb Williams and Pete Armstrong back at it in-house for Tuesday night's games, Bulls against the Clippers. Both guys even had their own custom jerseys here. Great to see 2 of Chicago's biggest stars together again. Looks like they're best buds. The future looks bright here in Chicago. Illinois winners of 7 straight. They host Maryland tonight. The Sky schedule is out. They're at Portland to start the 2026 season on May 9th. Home opener is against Dallas on May 20th. And Cody Bellinger has reportedly re-signed with the Yankees. 5 years, $162.5 million. Back with more after this final break.
Fox 32 News is brought to you by your
So imagine impulsively posting a jingle for your favorite pop, only for it to get officially used.
That's exactly what happened to a TikToker. Check it out.
Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Dr. Pepper, baby, is good and nice. Good and nice. Dr. Pepper.
Not stuck in our heads. This ad, which aired during the college football playoff national championship Monday night, features a jingle from Romeo. Just before Christmas, she posted that tune on TikTok. It went viral with more than 40 million views. Well, Dr. Pepper replied saying, "Hold on, you might be onto something," and later sent her a DM. And the rest, as they say, is history.
They sent her some cash.
I hope so.
I mean, it worked for me. Now that's all I can think about.
Yeah.
Like, should we do something like that? That's cool.
Maybe.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. All right. Well, hopefully you have something to keep you warm here in the next couple of days because it's about to get very cold. We have that Arctic front that's coming through this evening. Very gusty snow showers. Tomorrow, 25 degrees. But the really cold stuff, that's going to be here Thursday night into Friday. We have wind chill temperatures as low as 30 to 35 below when we wake up Friday morning. That's going to last through midday. Daytime temperatures, I don't even think we're going to get above 0 on Friday.
Lovely.
And then Saturday, still cold, but a slight improvement. Wind chills around 20 below. And then on Sunday, the forecast is changing. It looks like we could see some snow around here as a possibility on Sunday.
So it's just getting better.
It's getting better by the day.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us at 5.
Now you can stream us on your smart TV with Fox Local.
We're on all the streaming platforms.
Family Feud is next. We'll see you tonight at 9.
I'm Ultima Morgan of Morgan & Morgan.